Oh, another video. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. This is the only place where you're going to get the real talk from a real person, trying to, motivate and push the community, the society. Like I say, my son grows up in it. I got to make sure that it's, everything is going swell. That's my whole point. www.cb Lifestyle Apparel is the word. Check me out. I'm about to do a Lapeef Let's Talk. Love the show. I love, the interaction of all the people. I just like it. I like the back and forth. I like everybody, having different opinions. Just not sitting there agreeing with each other, even though I don't agree with a lot of them. So I just wanted to give that. We're gonna talk about, you can see the name of the video. Are black people notorious for not tipping? Just from my point, like I never worked in a service industry, so I was never. Well, let me not say that. I worked in the service industry. I never worked like as a waiter or a waitress or anything like that. Like I said, I did plumbing. I do plumbing, and tipping wise, I think it's just a thing. I don't really have, I'm in different areas that not a lot of black people are in. So people tip, some people don't tip, right? There's stigma. I mean, like stereotypes about other people who don't tip, which I'm not gonna get into. But it's just one of those things. Some people will, some people surprise you, give you way more than you think, right? A lot of northerners, like I would say northeastern people, they tip really well. But I'm a big tipper. We'll get into that. I mean, I'm not a big tipper, but I like to tip good or well for people.
Let me say something.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, and let me say something too, because being understanding marketing and branding, and that there's millions of dollars that go into these stores to play particular music that you don't know that subconsciously is making you buy more. Music is influential in a whole lot of things that we do. So what you eat affects your body, what you see affects your body, what you hear affects your body. That's why you have to be protective of your temple, of what you consume. That's food, that's music, and that's your vision of what you see. There's people that spend millions of dollars just to have elevator music because they understand there's subliminal stuff that they can put. There's particular tones, and if there's musicians, they can tell you there's particular tones that they can play to get reactions out of people.
Social media is a big thing too, Courtney. Do you notice that if you're shopping for something, then you'll see like ads or random stuff on Instagram and Facebook pop up? That's all I like, for real. Like, social media is a big thing. That's why I suggest people don't follow toxic stuff on social media. I follow about 200 accounts. 100 are people, 100 are like mental check-in, working out, and cooking channels. But social media is a big play into that stuff also.
Are you guys tippers? Do you guys tip when you go to the restaurant?
Yes.
Y'all tip? Or y'all some big tippers?
I mean, live in Carmel.
Okay.
Sometimes too much. At least twice the tax.
Oh, I am. The person says, "Are you a black over tipper? Do you over tip because of the stigma that black people don't tip or don't tip well?" Let's have a chat. Let's talk about it, y'all.
Well, just to get my take on it, like I'm probably an over tipper, just because sometimes, especially when I was hanging out and being in the streets and everything, it had that stigma like they're not gonna tip well, and I used to just tip a lot. Sometimes just do that, and then as I got older, my mom was in a waitress or a waiter. Waitress at one time. My dad, I think, was a waiter at one time, or a busboy or something like that. And then I've been around a lot of restaurants. Especially with plumbing, being in, dealing with people in the restaurants and everything like that. So I just noticed, like, that some of those people's livelihood. Some people can make really good money being a waiter or waitress. It just wasn't something that I would ever think about doing. But some people make really good money. If you at a high-end restaurant where there's $300-400 meals and people are tipping you, 18%, 20%, you're gonna make some bread. Like, you're gonna make some money. Make some real good money. And it's, I think Anton's gonna talk about with the taxes and everything. But it's gonna make some real good money. But I just tip because, if somebody gives good service, that's something that you just do. It's like customary to tip somebody, when they do well. It's probably the only stream that you can really do that, right? You're not gonna go buy a shirt from Macy's and tip the guy $50. Sometimes that's why they give them commission, I guess, you know what I mean? So I tip off of service. Even if it's not good service, I tip well. My son understands that. I'll tell you a story. Like, my son, Went with my mother to a restaurant, and he was paying for his. He's 10 years old, but he was paying with his little debit card. And he told the people, he told my mom to add a good tip. My dad always tips really well, and she was good, right? So I like that. I like that he understands that and then sometimes it be these moms. It'd be single moms. It'd be like what I mean. They out there working, and you over here holding back because you cheap. So stop being cheap.
I think there's a lot of people. I wouldn't necessarily say black people. I would just say a lot of people don't particularly tip, and they don't want to. If they feel like you do one thing wrong, they won't tip. Younger, I definitely probably tipped a little lower, but I also didn't have the income to be able to tip like I would want to. So I know for somebody that is like, that's their income, and they're trying to get all their money that night. But some people just don't have it. And I think some people probably shouldn't go out. But at this moment right now, if you do an amazing job, I will definitely tip very. No, look, it's black people don't tip.
Wait a minute.
You don't. I used to bartend when I lived in Atlanta.
Yep.
And I used to, the church people used to come in. They were the worst attitudes. And I was like, you just came out of church and then wouldn't tip nothing. Y'all are the worst. So I find I used to over tip. Now I'm just like, I give my 18% because I can't tip for all you Negroes.
If it's horrible service, I'm not tipping that good. They're getting a good 15%. I'm gonna be honest.
No.
So as someone who lives in America,
Well, that's the thing too. That's why with a lot of these people, that's why they started to do the whole 4 to 6 people. You got a 18%. They already added on, right? You don't even know it's on the check because they got a lot of people like this dude about to, say Zaddy. He about to trip and say what he gonna, what he's saying. Europeans don't tip. Canadians don't really tip.
now, and it's from overseas, I don't think we should ever tip. I think the fact you don't get paid enough is a personal problem. And when you decided to take that,
Yeah, and that's just silly shit. Like even people that don't live off of tips. Like I said, plumbing, electrician. Somebody comes over and pulls my, does something extra for me or does something, I tip them. But that's why you never get, and I said again, I agree with the karma part of it, and also that, you know what I mean? Like I used to, like my homeboys will tell you, man, there's stories they tell about me, right? Like when I was out in the streets, whatever, hanging out, and we go to the car wash, and you go to the hood car wash, you get your car wash, you got everybody there. I used to tip these dudes like, I used to tip my barber like, $30, $40 when I was, hanging out being wild, right? Just because. Right, and you know what it gave? It gave you access to people. Like when I pull up to the car wash, my homeboy be in the car, they know, like they run to me. They like ready to go do it, right? Because I'm already paying them for the car wash, but then I tip on top of that, right? Same thing with my haircut. Like people, you get your haircut, you tip, right? You could tip or you just pay more money. But he gonna explain it, but it's the European Canadians, they be tripping off that, man. Like it's like when you do a really good service, and especially in certain industries, I'm gonna give you a good tip, and that just gives you like, in this karma too, man. Like I do it because I would want the same thing for me or anybody else, to be able to do it. If you do a really good job, you deserve extra,
you should have known how much you was getting paid. And you should have negotiated a better rate. No, I'm being deadly serious here. Listen, right? This idea that I owe you a living, I don't owe you anything. You decided to take the job knowing fully well it doesn't pay enough. I actually don't owe you nothing as a customer. You need to take up the fact you're underpaid with your employer or get more skilled. I'm tired of people looking at end consumers saying, you owe me a tip because I served you. That's your damn job. And if you're upset you don't get paid enough, change jobs. It's really simple. And
let me say.
He makes sense, right? What he's saying, it does make sense where he's from, but it doesn't make. It's not here, bro. That's just not how we operate. You should tip, right? The whole thing is somebody like him would be on the side of, equality, all this other shit, right? He be on that whole page of getting everybody equal pay, all this other shit, right? But then you go out and you have a single mom working a table and you're not tipping her when you know most of her money is from the tip. If it was more money, your food would be more money, right? If you were to pay her $20 an hour, your food would be more money, right? So you're gonna end up paying it anyways, right? It's better. I'd rather tip somebody than give it to the business, right? I'd rather give her the cash in her hand, right, than go give it to the business. I think that's better work for for people. And people like him is the ones I was talking about.
That's ridiculous.
Let man can't finish. Why the man can't finish?
No, let him finish.
You could be like a drive-through or like grocery.
Why he can't finish though? Why he can't finish?
Go ahead and let him finish. Go ahead.
Look, more importantly, when we continuously tip, we're enabling a culture of the quote-unquote most vulnerable continuously being taken care of, when as an employer, you should be paying your staff a decent wage to begin with anyway. It's not your responsibility as an end consumer.
See, he's saying that as if all waiters and waitresses are vulnerable employees. Now you speak in ignorance, right? This is ignorant, right? Because the point is, like I just said, if you're working at Roof Chris, or you're a waiter at Joe's in Miami, right? Or you're a waiter or a waitress at STK or one of these high-end restaurants, you get your tips is gonna be crazy. Like your tips ain't gonna be per table. Ain't gonna be your tips on the table gonna be $100, right? $100-something per table that you wait on. You wait on 10 tables in a night, or I don't know how many you can wait on, but maybe 4 or 5, 6. It's about $400, $500, $600. You're making more money than somebody working a whole week of work, of 40 hours of work. So when you say that, you're talking crazy. Like that's ignorance. You don't even make sense.
Can you imagine if I went to go buy a bed and they said, oh yeah, by the way, you have to tip on top of buying the bed? You'd be thinking this is ludicrous. The idea I have to tip just because I came out to have a good time is just senseless, and people just buy into it continuously.
It's like bartenders, man. Like you tip a bartender, she makes a good drink, you tip her, right? It's not even a concept. It's the problem with Europeans and these Canadians and all that. They don't get that concept, and it's facts. It's true.
Well, the problem with what he's saying is that he's taking a custom that's not from here and he's applying it to here.
Exactly.
And just because you used to doing one thing somewhere else don't mean that it makes sense here. And it's a reason why they pay those people $3 an hour, is because, see, what you don't get is that a lot of times it benefits them just as much as it benefits the business owner, because A, a lot of those tips aren't taxed, which we can have a debate about that, either way. But B, what it allows them to do is really capitalize when they're really thriving. They can really, really thrive. And a lot of times the way that they're surviving, or the way that they thrive, is based off of their ability to be great customers. So what tipping does is it incentivizes the person to give even.
And I would say this too. You just opened another point that I was thinking about too. Waitresses, those are starter jobs for a lot of people. When you go to, I just went to Houston's the other day. Most of the waiter or waitresses are kids, 20s, maybe in college, maybe just out of college. You got to go to certain restaurants where you find like an older lady who's in her 30s or 40s, young kids. But it gives them the skills to be able to go out. They don't got to get paid a lot, but they can get service. They can get skills. And then if they work in a good restaurant, like I said, you get your tips was crazy. You could be making some money doing it too. And that's what you're missing out on, because you have this mentality of, I don't want to pay more for it, or I don't, like you're not valuing somebody's skills, or how they treated you, or how well they were doing. Right, how well they did for you, right? How well they made that drink. They made that drink pretty well. When you get a lot of shitty drinks, and this dude don't let you go out, like I said, I don't really know him, but he got white beater on. We don't even wear white beater no more, really. But when you go out and you have somebody make a really good drink, you're like, damn, that's a really good drink. Like most people mess up the drink. Like my wife orders the same kind of drink, but we'll go different places. The drink is horrible, right? The drink is not what it was supposed to be, right? Or they'll do some extra stuff for the drink, or they'll add an extra this and that, or whatever. Those things get tips. Those things are like things that I appreciate. I appreciate you going above and beyond to get my food. I appreciate you going, like I was watching one with Boosie, right? Boosie. Shout out to Boosie, a real one. I always say that, bro. Like, he might not agree with everything, but he a real one. He was at a restaurant and he wanted a can of Coke, and he told this guy, if you give me a can of Coke, I got you. I'm gonna put it on your tip. He ended up giving the guy like $100 more than the bill, right? Just because he went and found a can of Coke. He actually got him a bottle of Coke, but he went and got it for him. Those things are appreciated, man. You just don't appreciate people and what they do for you sometimes. That's why I say, if you're a bad tipper, I'm just going to give you what I think is, your tip. And most of the time, it's just going to be the normal 15, 18%, whatever. But if you're somebody who goes above and beyond for my service, you got a smile on your face, you really helping, like you really, explaining things to me, you're doing all these different things, you deserve the tip. Right, so I don't mind giving it to you. I don't feel like the restaurant should pay you more money. Like, what you worried about that for? Unless you know what I mean. Like, you arguing something that's making your point because it makes you look good. Oh, the restaurant should pay you more money. Come on, bro. Keep that shit in Europe, bro. Keep that shit in wherever you from.
Greater service, and they over deliver, which makes it a greater experience for the people that surround them. So, it's a custom, and so. When in Rome, you do as Romans do. And then B, this is the reason why I tip at least 50% of what it is that I do. Because I know that if people like this that are walking around every single day, that is translation, he's cheap as fuck. This is the real translation.
No.
Cheap as fuck. And cheap I don't know what your financial situation is. I'm not judging that. It's people that make a lot of money that is cheap as fuck.
It's true.
Translation, cheap as fuck. And if you can't do the thing that you're accustomed to do, if I go over into a different country or I go into a different environment, I'm looking to learn and understand what the custom is so I can act appropriately. That's what grown men do. Grown men adapt their environment and they do things according to what the customs are in that environment. I would never go into Dubai and then act like and do what Americans do, an American, and say, hey, this is what we do over there, so this is how we gonna do it over here. No, I'm looking to understand their customs, so I don't offend them, and then B, I'm looking to better understand how I can be a true person as to leave a good impression, so they don't look at me as a fuck boy. And this is one of the reasons why black people in a lot of instances are looked at so trash, because a lot of us are good, but a lot of us make the other ones look bad because they bring their own mindset into an environment that they don't understand. And instead of trying to understand it, they look to impress what they're used to on what we doing over here. No, when you over here, you got to move accordingly, or you just gonna be a fuck boy.
So hold on. Let me ask you this question.
Round of applause.
Wait. Let me ask you this genuine question. If I go into a restaurant as a consumer, do I owe you a living?
You don't know nobody's shit.
You owe me to operate how we supposed to operate when it comes to our customers.
No. Do I, as a consumer, owe you a living? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, your one little tip, your thing ain't no earning nobody no living. So I don't know what the hell you talking about. Do you owe them a living? No, you gonna pay your bills? You talking about you tipping for service that I gave you. I gave you service. You could tip me for it. If you can't do that, then get your cheap ass out. That's why and I said this on a comment on this same video, that this is why I overtip. It's because people like him go out, we probably dress the same, look the same. I mean, acting the same, and then he go out there and he writes 0 on the tip. On a $100 bill, $100, $150 bill with him and his boys, and he writes 0 on the tip. You don't want to zero tip because I'm not paying for your lifestyle or some shit. And then I gotta double the tip. He tripping.
Absolutely, yes.
That's where we differ. I, as a consumer, don't owe you a living. Your employer owes you because you negotiate your fare with them. You didn't negotiate your fare with me, so I don't have to give you anything. And I'm not cheap, and I'm not a bad person.
You're not a bad person. You just a cheap motherfucker. You are cheap. That's cheap. And like you said, when you go to other countries, you follow their customs. Whatever they do, you do. Right? Just like if you go, let me tell you something. That's why I know some of these people don't really go anywhere. You go to Mexico. You go to any resort in Mexico, right? The resorts I go to, it don't matter which one I'm into. Ask my wife. My wife, anybody who's been there knows too. Man, you tip these guys $5, $10. Bro, they waiting on you every day. They coming over to find out what you want to drink. They bringing you shit that you don't even ask for. They bringing you the top shelf drinks. They finding things for you. They finding all sorts of things for you because you showing you appreciate their service. And they going above and beyond to bring something to you. I just don't understand what your concept is. Like, you haven't been out. He probably in his room all the time. I don't know. But like you go out and you tip somebody well, they smile on their face, they appreciate you, like you appreciate them. I appreciate what you did, right? When you go to Mexico, you go to third world, not third world, I don't know if Mexico third world, but like place where your money is good. Man, Thailand, another one. Like tip, they love you. They calling you by your name, even though they're really nice in Thailand. I ain't gonna lie, but like Mexico for sure. When I went to Costa Rica too, Costa Rica was like that too. You tip, man. People love you, man. They like greeting you. Like they treat you nicer and better, right? And it's like I appreciate you, you appreciate me, right? And they know, people that ain't gonna tip like somebody like this guy. But you tell me what you think about it. Like I said, go subscribe to Lapeef Let's Talk. Great show. I love they always got some good topics. They got some deeper topics I would love to get into. We're gonna do that too. Let's real talk with Mo. See you on the next one.